Welcome back. In this lesson, you'll learn to save data to a text file, which is an extremely useful technique to employ in your project. And the code that you need to add is actually quite simple. So follow along step by step with a currency converter. In this lesson, you'll learn what transaction records are. You'll create a string variable which will store records of every transaction done with the currency converter, and then add code to the close app procedure so that your string variable is saved to a text file on exit. A transaction is a very loose term. It just means any event that alters data, such as a purchase or a booking, or in this case, the use of the currency converter. So we count one use of your app as a transaction, and many apps keep a record of the transactions. The main reason for doing this, however, is to learn the technique, which will have many different uses. So first things first, let's prepare a suitable variable that's going to save the transaction records. I'm just going to save it as a string, a simple text string, which will grow bigger as I do different transactions. And then at the end, I'm going to save that string to a text file. So let me also create a constant to record the name of my text file. I just chose currency log. It can literally be any name you want. I would save it as .txt, and the reason that I'm doing that at the top of my file is so that if I decide to change my file name, I only need to change it in one place in the file. You can use any names that you want here. And now I'm going to amend my convert procedure. In my version, I've called it pound to euro. And first of all, I'm going to ensure that the save string is a global variable, because I'm using it in two procedures, this convert one and at the end in the close app procedure. And it's much easier with Tkinter to just use global variables. If you're anxious about that, put a note about that in your write-up of your project, and that shows that you've considered the issue. Okay, now the next code that we have to add will be at the bottom of this convert procedure, because I'm going to record the number of pounds and the number of euros, the equivalent number of euros. That keeps a full record of my transaction. So there it is. I've converted pounds and euros into strings and joined them with the equal sign. So let's say it might say £100 equals 117 euros, and that will record my transaction. And then I'm going to add that transaction to the save string. So the save string will get bigger and bigger every time I use my app. So the save string, I'm going to add the transaction to the existing save string, and I've also added a new line symbol so that each one of my transactions will be on a new line. That's literally it. So as long as you've added that, as you use your program, this save string will be building up in the background. You won't be able to see it because it's just stored in memory. Okay, there's only one more change to make. Go to the close procedure, whatever you've called it, and just before the window destroy command, add those two lines. You can simply copy those two lines if you like. Notice that file name is the constant that I created, and save string is the variable that I created, but you could use obviously any names that suit you. The A there, so it says with open file name A, that means append. If I change that to a W, then every time I save, it would overwrite what's there before. But I decided I wanted to append, so I want my save file to get bigger and bigger each time. That's it. So if you add those lines that I've just shown you on the last two slides to your currency converter, it will work. Check your Python folder because that's where the file will save. There it is. You can see I created a currency converter and I've run it, and it's made that currency log that you can see there. And if I open the currency log file, it looks something like that. You can see it's just saved every single one of my transactions, on each one on a fresh line, because I added that n command, and it works. And that is quite a useful function to be able to add. You can add it to virtually any app, and it shows that you're making good use of Python. So these are the tasks for you to do. Go through this presentation and follow the commands to add a simple transaction log to the currency converter. My transactions are extremely simple. My transaction records, just the pounds equals the euros. You could enhance that a lot. You could add extra text. You could add the pound and euro symbol, for example. You could store the date and time of the transaction. And you can also go on and implement save to file in your own coursework. You could just have a transaction log, or you could save anything else that you think is useful. For instance, if your project is a game, you could just save the player's name and their score. That's just an example. So have a go at that. I am going to add over the next week or so some more Tkinter extras, which you can use or not as you wish. Bye for now.